Hello. Doing another access check, making sure folks can hear and see the interpreter. Awesome. All right, I'm gonna now accept.
Y'all don't gotta keep telling me that every time I done bust through. We back on the live. Slide on over to Instagram Live. We on the place. Okay, listen, I love y'all.
Awesome.
I was doing a little some of the people over here. No difficulty.
Definitely appreciate y'all's patience. We have our interpreter up. We have our guest ready to get things going for. Oh. It looks like we just lost our interpreter again. Whew, y'all, this has been a journey. I appreciate y'all's patience. Okay. Let's give it 1 minute, and I think if not, let me see, we can get started. But they were just on. You saw them, right? Okay, let's see.
How have you been, Gregory, you dancing machine?
I've been doing good. Thank you for asking. Oh, we can't hear you, Monroe. What did you say?
Can you hear?
Okay, I can hear you now.
Taylor, what did you say?
I said, how are you doing, Gregory, you dancing machine? And then she said, you got dance fever.
Yes, he's a maniac on the floor. Ow.
And he dances like he's never danced.
Hey.
That's her tone-deaf white friend next to her.
Hey, sugars, come on in. Am I still frozen? Listen, I see some of the people have slid on over here. Ah, I'm so glad you made it. Yay.
Yes, yes. Yes, y'all. All right. Well, this is what I'm going to recommend. Maybe we can go ahead and get started. I can at least start doing the introductions, and then hoping that when Darren's able to join soon and can continue moving forward, would that be okay with folks? Okay, awesome. Well, hello, everyone. Thank you all so much for joining this next edition of Conscious Conversation. I'm super excited about the guest that we have for today. We are going to be having two folks, the president and vice president of Flex DC, coming and joining us today. We have the vice president, Monroe Alise, who is the CEO of Can We Live LLC, an expert connecting conversationalists who take social media by storm with Monroe's Moments and her live videos Check-in Time, which spread positivity and inspiration with such comedic relief. Monroe also currently serves as the vice president of Flex and broke all barriers in 2017 as one of the first transgender women to vocally perform at the White House during the transgender community briefing under the Obama administration. And in 2019, Monroe was the Transgender Day of Remembrance keynote speaker in DC, which is the place that she is based out of. And so we will also have Taylor Chandler, who is a former sign language interpreter and crisis management consultant, a published author, The Making of Going for the Gold, Super Bowl Surprise, Transcestors, and is featured in With Pleasure, a national speaker on transgender and intersex issues, as well as elevating Black and Brown voices. Taylor currently runs TLC Consulting LLC, open in Canada, about living with borderline personality disorder, depression, and anxiety. And she is a board member with the Capital Pride Alliance and the board president of Flux DC. And she has appeared on the cover and in many national magazines and newspapers, on television and radio shows and podcasts all around the world. Taylor is married to Matthew Magner-Walker. Awesome. So y'all can tell why I'm excited to have these guests with us today, and really excited to get in this conversation. I'm just gonna check one more time to see if our interpreter has joined back up again, and I don't see them.
You should play Adele. Hello.
Okay, I'm just looking one more time. I don't see them. I'm just gonna see if they.
Adele's new song, Take It Easy on Me.
Yeah. Take it easy on me.
Okay. All right. So I don't see them. I'm gonna send them one more note to see if they can join one more time. But in the meantime, I think we can go ahead and ask the first question. Are folks cool with that?
Okay.
Awesome. So a question that we like to ask all of our guests for this conscious conversation is in the spirit of Ella Baker. Who are your people?
You go.
Who are my people? That's an interesting question. When you say who are my people, all people are my people. You know, me, there is nothing that separates us, because we are more alike than different. But for me, you know, the people that believe, the people that inspire, the people that motivate, the people that encourage, and the people that support me are my people. Now, what does that support look like? It's people that let me know when I'm right and wrong. It's people that encourage me, but it's also people that correct me. I don't need yes people. I don't need people that always agree with me. And I don't need everyone to believe and like the same things that I like. I need a diverse group of people around me because that's how I grow. And so all people are my people.
Very interesting question. For me, my people are my chosen family. I had to remove biological family because they brought nothing but toxicity to my life. And my people are the people that need to be included for all lives to matter. So I have Black and brown voices in my personal life, my professional life, you know, but I do have 2 white friends. Just saying. You know, Monroe's my people. She's my sister. I like to connect with people that bring energy to this universe that fuels you to go forward in your own purpose.
Thank you, sister.
You're welcome.
I appreciate that. Yeah, I mean, I like asking that question because I think it's such a there's such a variety of ways to respond to that. And so I appreciate you all talking about the people who are literally around you, are in your immediate circles, but also the people who hold you accountable, that push you to be greater, push you to be stronger. And I think that that's part of the community and the types of spaces we want to continue to cultivate and create. And that I think you all are helping cultivate and create as well. The next question that we want to ask, or that we like to ask all of our guests, is when was the last time you felt brave? And for this one, why don't we start with you, Taylor?
The last time I felt brave. You know, lately I haven't been feeling brave. This morning I woke up to an intersex woman in Cameroon who was a waitress that had been brutally assaulted, beaten, and sexually assaulted by a mob in broad daylight. People watched, and she's still alive. But we live in a world where if you are TGNC, intersex, LGBTQ, it's always in the back of our head that that could be us. So I guess I'm brave and still getting up every day and going out and visible. Even though I didn't choose to be out with my life, I've made it my own. And I believe that when that happens, there's a lot expected of you. And I try every day to honor that. But when I'm not feeling it, I still tell my truth because that's real.
Mm-hmm. Holding you extra close, Taylor. Thank you for being so vulnerable and bringing that story into this space. And I know we'll talk about it a little bit more, but even more reason why to really part of the theme is like Transgender Day of Remembrance, which I know is a day, but is important to kind of hold that every day, right? Especially in the world that we live in now. Curious your response to the question around the last time you felt brave, Monroe.
For me, you know what? Thank you, Taylor, for sharing that. You know, it's in the honesty that I hear the most relatability. And if I could be so honest, for me, the most recent time that I felt brave was when I did my keynote speech yesterday for Transgender. It was so scary for me. And even though I've done it before, but I'm not the girl that I used to be. And I don't mentally, nor physically, or emotionally, or spiritually exist in that space anymore. And to feel grateful and humbled at being asked and invited, I felt that there was this level that I had to live up to, or this expectation, and I was completely afraid. And to walk into the room and feel brave enough to go through with it, not just for me, but the trans siblings of mine that weren't able to be here because they've lost their lives to senseless violence. I had to be brave. And to walk in a room with nothing but love and positivity and energy, and it was just a phenomenal space. That bravery just literally was the thing that really helped me get through it.
I love in the chat right now for you speaking yesterday, Monroe, and for a lot of love for folks kind of in this space, showing you that. So I appreciate you kind of being on here, but also being able to continue to show up with such bravery, as you said, even as you said, Taylor, just to like wake up and to like continue to exist is a form of bravery in of itself. So definitely feeling grateful and appreciative that you all continue to show up, show out, be leaders in the ways that you are, and also take the time to also do like these talks like this to kind of help provide more space and opportunities for folks to feel seen, be heard, and to be in community. Is it okay if it's okay? I want to move into the next question. You both are entrepreneurs. I talked a little bit about that in your intros. Media personalities, advocates, organizers for mental health, as well as the broader LGBT community. Monroe, and Taylor, you're also like actresses, authors. Like, what motivates y'all to continue doing all of the things that you all continue to do?
Money!
No, I mean, Taylor makes listen, financial stability is something that is always something that is important. And I think oftentimes we try to minimize that, like that's not important. Financial stability is important. Sustainability in this economy is important. However, that is not what motivates me. What motivates me is because the work is not for me. This is for the little girl that is seeing me, that doesn't know how they identify yet, doesn't know what they are, but those feelings are very similar to what they see being shown and visible and represented when they hear me, when they see me. That's why I show up on days when I don't feel like it, when it don't feel good. I know it's not about me. The journey is no longer about me, for me. So that is what motivates me.
I doubt that anybody that gets into this type of work and advocacy is doing it for the money, because it's just not where you make money. Most of what we both do is volunteering. But I feel like because I have the platform I have, a lot is expected of me to use that to be anti-racist, to promote equity across the board. Like I said earlier, all lives can't matter until all lives matter. And right now, that's not the case. We do not value Black lives as a country, as an administration, and it trickles down. And we just saw a young man get acquitted of 6 charges for shooting people at a Black Lives Matter protest. That speaks volumes to me. That's why I do the work, because it's necessary. I mean, yes, I dedicate my life to trans and intersex and LGBTQ issues, but really, at the end of the day, I think of myself as a civil rights leader. I admire John Brown and the legacy he left behind. If I'd been alive back then, I'd have been like storming arsenals and getting weapons to free slaves. But I feel today, slavery just changed. They made being Black a crime, prison. And Washington, D.C. is 49% Black, and the jail system is 90% Black. That is just unacceptable. That's the reason I do the work.
That's such a harsh truth, Taylor, like in terms of dealing with the ways in which anti-Blackness and anti-Black racism shows up both, like as you're talking about it, in kind of the criminalization, incarceration, and like the systemic in the systems, and also in other ways too, and how folks are treated, both in this quote unquote justice system. You were talking about the white supremacist who was freed from all the different charges that they had. I won't even put their name into this space, but folks know who we're talking about. So I appreciate you naming that, especially in this moment where I think people are reckoning with racism in their homes and their workplaces and their communities, and trying to be better about how we are being anti-racist and building new systems in which people could be their full selves. So I think it's a point well taken. I'm curious, because I know we talked a little bit about Flux. We know that you are the president and vice president of Flux. Wanted to just ask, like, as you all are building this organization, what is something that you are proud of? What is something that you want to be able to share with folks? Like, you may not have seen this, you may not have known this, but what is something that you wanted to share about Flux DC?
You know, Flux is a space that is built around events to elevate Black and brown lives through advocacy, marketing, and creating safe events. You know, it's about having fun, but it's about having fun with a purpose. And, you know, ironically enough, I'm the only white person in your organization globally, but I'm not front facing. You know, my vice president, I'm always calling her, you got to do this, you got to do that, you got to go here. Because, you know, if there's a space we need to get in that I get to fight to, I bring the voice heard. I can't tell that story myself. But now it's shifting enough that I just sit in the background and eat bonbons, so to speak, you know, because I need people to see themselves in the work we do. And with me front facing, that's not congruent when that happen. And so I still love going on the Hill and fighting for policy change and working at the national level for advocacy, you know, with AHF, who is our parent organization that we are an affinity group of. And, you know, one of the things I'm super excited about is collaborating with Impulse Group DC, which is, you know, our Black brothers, and reminding people that Washington DC is a chocolate city.
Come on.
It is Black, and we're gonna throw
like it's 1999.
Yes. And for you youngins, that was a really good time.
Yes, it was. I heard about it. I didn't know. I wasn't in. I'm really happy, like Taylor said, I'm really happy that this is the space that we are creating spaces, safe spaces, where my Black and brown TGNC siblings and friends can be able to exist. You know, the mere right to exist we have to fight for on a daily basis. A daily basis. And I'm so glad that we have collided and have came together to definitely collaborate on events, because that's what it's about. It's about the unity. And oftentimes I believe that it's lost in our community. We fight so hard and vigilant to be seen individually in these individual groups, not realizing that we all have one purpose: to be seen, and that we are stronger together. And so I'm extremely excited about the upcoming work and parties and educational moments that we're going, because we're going to have some teachable moments, you know. And what I love about being teachable inside the community is because I don't know everything. And so I'm able to learn things at these events too that I didn't know. And that's what it's about. So that's what I'm excited about.
And if you've never been to an Impulse Group DC event,
baby,
let me tell you, the eye candy is everything and a bag of
listen.
There is something for everyone.
Absolutely. I appreciate y'all bringing Impulse Group. You know, I have a very special place in my heart for Impulse Group DC. I was just at an event yesterday that they co-sponsored with the Capitol Ballroom Council. And it was phenomenal. Had a great time. And I think it really spoke to what you were saying, Monroe: spaces to be seen, spaces to feel love and joy and community. And that's exactly what I felt. And it looked like and felt like everyone else felt that too. So I'm excited about what future collaboration will look like, especially as Impulse is in the midst of a transition, and I'm hearing that they will have some new leadership announcements coming soon. But here's to continued and strengthened partnership between Flux and Impulse moving forward.
Oh, tell us. I want to know who, what, come on.
I guess we'll all find out soon enough. I'm
excited.
And then I also just wanted to appreciate too, Monroe, you talking about the humility of like remaining teachable. And I feel like if so many more people walked with that energy and had that energy of not only giving, but also being able to take in and to be teachable in their own right, I feel like we'd be in such a different world right now. And so I wanted to just hold that, because I firmly believe too, like, there is always something that I can learn from anyone that I meet, and I want to be able to continue to be humble in that way, as I continue to get more experience and get, you know, come into age, you know. So I appreciate you bringing that in too. And so the next question I want to ask is about thinking about how you all been talking about being seen. I think an important part of that is feeling like you can speak your truth and how to live authentically and unapologetically. How has, your life experience shaped your dedication to activism, shaped, I guess, the way that you say it, Taylor, like wanting to be able to leverage y'all's platform in the way that you all leverage your platform and to be as grounded in community as you all are?
I'm going to be very transparent. I would have still been living stealth today if it had been left up to me. There's still times I miss being anonymous and invisible. But 7 years ago when I was outed, it was done in such a brutal way. And, my immediate go-to is I wanted to kill myself. Because I couldn't fathom living in a world where people were going to see me differently, see me as a freak, see me as an abomination. And so I started volunteering for Capital Pride, holding, scanning tickets, and it started to give me life again. And since 2016, I was on the team. I've been involved in everything, doing, like I always do, anything I'm asked of, because nothing is too good or too low or high or easy, hard. I'll try. And if I don't know what to do, I'll ask for help. But, I feel like because I came out of that able to breathe, I do have a platform. I do have, still sounds funny to me, but a fan base. And I have an audience that I can tell things to and educate that wouldn't know certain things. There's days where they just want to see me butt ass naked. I get that, but that's not my life. And, but they'll tune in. I might hint a little shoulder, a little cleavage, but for me, it's about the work. It's about my duty. And I feel like it is a duty, a calling, a purpose. When I was very rooted in the church, I used to say that my only purpose was to love God and serve, period. And I don't know who everybody believes in, but I think there's a lot to be said in that statement. And serving people. And when you're happy and you're giving back, the reward is you are more happy. So hope that answers your question.
Yes. Well, thank you for sharing that, Taylor. I mean, I think sometimes when folks are put on, when folks are put on pedestals, sometimes they for me, sometimes it could be seen as like dehumanizing folks. People don't realize the things that you actually go through to be who you are, to like the things that got you to that place. And so I remain grateful that you continue to show up in the way you do and to like hold all the things that you've been able to, that you've been able to navigate and live through, and continue to send lots of love and care as you continue to hold that, and also continue to be a light and an inspiration and a motivation for folks to continue every day. So thank you for that. How about you, Monroe?
Well, for me, it was the experience that shaped my activism. It was my experience, and I'm sure Taylor can agree with this, is that, I didn't choose it. It kind of chose me. It was being honest with myself and feeling liberated by sharing my honesty did my advocacy and activism start. And that's only from my experience. I love what you were saying about how, maybe they did want to see a little something. I used to say all the time, I don't care if these titties is what you tuned in for. If this is what you tuned in to see, a seed will be planted, because you'll eventually. you'll eventually be open-minded enough to hear what is being said, and then eventually be willing to look into the mirror and see where you can make the necessary adjustments, because everything starts and ends with self. And so if I'm truly honest about my experience, then my advocacy and my activism can be authentic.
Mm-hmm.
What he was doing when he put that purpose in her and allowed her voice to be amplified throughout the world.
Thank you, sister.
I love the mutual love and respect y'all have for each other. I can literally feel it. I know you all are together right now, but I can literally feel it through the screen. So thank you for modeling and showing folks like that. That's what like lifting up each other and loving on each other can look like.
Y'all ain't in the same room. It looks so different on the screen, but we here.
Surprise.
So I know we talked a little, it was alluded to yesterday. Of course, part of the theme and part of what we are trying to honor is Transgender Day of Remembrance. And I know it's a reminder of all of our ancestors and transcestors in particular who came before us, and as well as those who are no longer with us. So I'll just let's give just a moment of silence for all of the folks continue to be impacted by transphobia and hate and bias in all of its and violence in all of its forms. And this leads me to the next couple of questions that I have for you. If you could break bread, have a meal, and share some stories with a transcestor, who would it be? Which transcestor would it be, and why?
Oh my gosh, I have two people that popped in my head already off the break, and I can't do one, but one would definitely be who a lot of people don't even know about her, and her name is Georgia Brown.
Mm-hmm.
And was one of the first trans women in history to literally live her whole life stealth, and was only discovered to be trans during the autopsy after she passed away. And this was, of course, in the early 1900s. And she was a woman of a Black woman of the trans experience. And she was so graceful. She was so giving. She ran away as a slave and reinvented herself. And she became a nurse and fell in love and got married. Mm-hmm. And then her passed away and left her everything, and she got married again, and he had a child very young, and then that became her husband and her child, and she lived for got sick and passed away, and they found out eventually. And so I would love to sit with her, and I would love to sit with Marsha P. Johnson. Mm-hmm. You know, I loved the quote that I used in my keynote speech yesterday about her saying, "I may be crazy, but that don't make me wrong." And I want to be able to sit with those two very different personalities, but very same agendas and wanting to live and very adamantly doing so. I would love to sit with both of them and break bread, honey, crack open a crab or two, you have a mocktail, and just really, just pick their brains on that wealth of information.
For me, I'm sitting here struggling to remember the name, but I'm going to tell a little bit of the story, and hopefully somebody will remember it. They did a movie about it, and she transitioned. She had surgery over in like Germany or Europe, and then she died.
Oh my gosh, I know what it is called. I just sent it.
But the thing is, we think of her as trans, but in reality, she was intersex. So that's a little near and dear to my heart. And I want to say her name was Lily. Was it Lily? They did a story about it. And, a lot of people went and saw it. And I think it helped branch a little bit into the world that there are people out there that are a little different. The other person I would pick is not past, but it was no one I ever thought I would be face. The Danish Girl, that's the movie.
Phenomenal movie. I'm gonna watch that tonight. Phenomenal movie.
But Caroline Cossey, Tula, our stories are so similar. She was married to this billionaire tycoon while she was on her honeymoon. The Mirror of the World over in Europe outed her. And when all that happened, her whole life collapsed. She was a very successful model. She'd been in a Bond film. She was a vodka spokesperson, just amazing. And she went on Howard Stern, and that was all she wrote. She went into seclusion after that because she no longer felt safe and she didn't like the world we lived in. But when my life took a turn and became public in 2014, she reached out to me. And we're friends now, and we talk. And she was the first person I saw myself in. But I still have yet to have a meal with her, touch her, have a hug, smell her hair. I know those sound like silly things, even romantic, but I don't mean them that way at all. It's just I want to be able to take a piece of her with me forever. And she's married to the guy that she was on the field on, David Finch. And, you know, they're still very happy. He's still as hot as can be. She still has that long, beautiful hair. She's got some grays in it to show all that struggle that we go through as TGNC people.
Yeah.
And but when she said Marsha P. Johnson, I thought, you know what? That would be a good person too.
Baby.
And then I wonder if young me was on. I would have been alive a little bit later on. But I'd like to know if young me would still be in the same space to support and be there for her. Would I have stood by her when she threw that stone through the window? Would I have had the gumption to be part of a movement then? I don't do that.
Thank you for your honesty. That's dope.
Yeah, that's. I mean, I think it's also a real question that a lot of people would ask, you know, and I think why it's also important that we kind of continue to carry her story and the legacy that she's built, especially in the context of pride, right? Like, no, like a lot of us are here because of their audacity and their willingness to do the thing that many others were kind of questioning, wondering, pushing back on. And so let their spirit live on, let there be a moment where all of y'all and all the folks that you named can all be at a collective table, just that. I want to be a fly on that wall, let me tell you.
That's a wealth of knowledge.
Absolutely.
Got to do a quick shout out, Miss Paris. Yes, that's my baby girl.
And I have to shout out. I want to shout out, really quick, because and this is about the Georgia Brown story, that, you know, because a lot of people don't know who Georgia Brown is. And if you get an opportunity, please look her up. I want to shout out to a DC legend, my auntie, Kim Gordon. She told, as a woman of the trans experience, as a Black woman of the trans experience who has been alive long enough to see so much change from when dressing in the opposite sex's clothes was against the law. She was the one that passed that information on to me. This is why remaining teachable and talking to the people shoulders I stand on are extremely important, so that they can pass on that information that has not been documented, that has not been televised, that is not easily accessible. We have to continue to pass that information on. So shout out to you, Kim. I love you, Aunt.
And since you brought up Kim, that is a woman that was on the front lines, that went through the turmoil trans women went through.
Yes, ma'am.
That survived it against all odds, and now today pulled herself up, got educated, got one of them their degrees.
Baby.
And she started an organization to give back, feedback, give a hand up, a leg up, just to encourage, lift, and do all that. So we honor you, Miss Kim Gordon.
Bringing Kim Gordon into the space, lifting up their continued and honor leadership and inspiration to all of us. The next question I want to ask about is around mental health. It's something clearly that we all deal with in different ways, especially in the broader LGBTQ2IA plus community, especially these last 19 plus months as we've been navigating a global pandemic. Can you share with folks, like, what have you done to maintain your mental health? And are there any practices of healing or words of wisdom that you could share with others who are trying to continue to navigate all of these things that life continues to throw at them?
You want me to go first?
Yes.
You know, it's so interesting. You know, the one thing that I chose to do was invest in myself. I was forced by this pandemic to be with myself, to sit with myself. And what I was forced to take a look at, if I could be so honest. Listen, I'm just talking about me and my experience. You know, I was forced to see that I was doing busy work. I was using distractions from taking a look and a gander at myself. And as being forced to sit with me, I had one of two choices, to either sink or swim. And for me, that meant either do the work or try to find a way to stay complacent and stagnant in where I was. Because I couldn't go nowhere. I couldn't go out and use people as the distractions, and I couldn't partake in substances as the distractions, and all of those things that I was using as coping and numbing mechanisms. So I was forced to the inside. And so I started to invest in myself. I started to do something different to get something different. I started to intensify my self-care. I started to practice that unconditional self-acceptance. Nah, I ain't lost that extra 25 COVID pounds, but I love me anyway. Nah, I'm not where I want to be, but I'm right where I need to be. See, I started thinking different. I started the trajectory of my future by focusing on my present and staying out of my past. That ain't my business no more. You know, I say things I used to do, I don't do no more. Baby, places I used to go, I don't go no more. That's how I know I've been changed. You know, and the process isn't pretty, but necessary. And so what I have to continue to do is keep focused on the solution and stop worrying about the problem. And that's a practice. I do that every day. You know, I heard about that thing called, you know, self-acceptance, but ain't nobody told me about no unconditional self-acceptance. You mean love me with that extra weight, like and love me when I keep intentionally going back to the man that keep using and abusing, misusing and neglecting and disrespecting me. I'm just talking about my story. I'm talking about being able to unconditionally accept regardless of what it looked like. That's a practice. Daily reprieve. Because see, I got to check in with me on a daily basis, because sometimes I don't feel good about me. I'm just talking about me. Days I don't like what I see. I don't like who I'm looking at. And so I got to change the way I talk to me. Bitch, you beautiful today. You ain't got to put on 30 pounds of makeup to be beautiful. You beautiful because you've chosen not to be who you used to be. You've chosen invest in yourself. You've chosen to sow good seeds into yourself. See, when you talk about that reaping and sowing thing, at least for me, it was a whole new look on that. Talking about you reap what you sow. Well, I started sowing good seeds. I started sowing positivity and some peace and some growth and some healing on that pain. I started to replace those things, like that pain with peace and that hurt with healing. I started to replace those things slowly but surely, day by day, because let's see, it's a just for today kind of thing with me. I don't know about nobody else, but I got to go on the right now in this moment kind of time. And so I started to just look at this one thing that was going on with me, because it starts and ends with me. Listen, you know, if I treat me better, I just might treat you better when I encounter you out there in the world. And that's what
you are. Come on, Monroe, you better say that.
She did.
Come on. You just dropped the mic. Come on.
Ain't no drop no mind. Now listen, I'm just talking about me. If you ask about me, I get passionate when I'm talking about me. And see, that's what I'm talking. I gotta get honest. Because if I don't get honest, I'll stay stuck in those public lies, living a private truth. See, because I tried suicide a couple of times myself, trying to please people. You know, I was a professional MD carrying people pleaser. Living for so many multiple people, even after I transition. I'm talking about me. And so I have to keep checking in with me. Listen, if my heart ain't in it, I'll never be successful. I got to stop confusing my gift and my purpose, because just because I'm good and gifted at doing hair don't mean that my purpose is to be a hairstylist. I don't know who that was for. I'm just talking. Listen, it's just now we here. The spirit is here. I got to stop operating in my gift and start operating in my purpose. You can be good at a many of things, but your purpose is only few and far.
Mm-hmm. Ooh, Monroe, you are speaking today.
Pass that now. I'm gonna pass that.
Look, I missed church this morning, but I clearly didn't miss church because I'm right here getting a word on today, Monroe.
You know, mental illness, mental health has been a struggle since I was a child. I was birthed into trauma. It followed me through my whole life. I was probably borderline personality disorder as a child, but I wasn't diagnosed till 2000. But from 1987 to 1990, I attempted suicide 17 times. In 1993, I threw myself out a stained glass window on the second floor and ended up in Jackson Brook Institute for the whole entire summer. You know, as an adult, I learned to push it down and push it away and pretend that that was not my life and who it was. And, you know, I battled anorexia. And then for 20 years, life was calm, so to speak. And then on November 19th of 2014, everything in my life became amplified. And I became anorexic again. I went from a size 6 to a 0. I was 110 pounds. I ended up in the hospital on a feeding tube. Every day I wanted to kill myself. Unfortunately, they quoted me for that. But that was my feelings then. You know, in February of 2015, when Michael got engaged, nothing hurt me more in my entire life, because this man that never acknowledged or denied me was gonna pledge his love to another woman, and it hit me like a brick. And then that person that sent Tula into a spin came out and said that I was a he, she, I was an it, that they didn't know what I was talking about, if I was even believable. And it's like, you know, one moment, motherfucker, your team investigated me 7 ways for Sunday. There was a 33-page contract before I ever went on Howard Stern. Trust and believe they had the facts, the evidence, the everything before I ever spoke one word on that news program. And I use the word news very loosely. I ended up in rehab in 2015 after the photographer featured me for the CoverGirl exhibition with Linda Carter, my idol. He died. He'd been clean and sober for 2 years, but the damage from a lifetime of drug addiction took its toll, and he dropped dead in the kitchen in his parents' house. And it just, everything that was happening was too much for me. So I ended up in rehab. While they were trying to force that liquid charcoal down my goddamn throat, an assistant in that ER recognized who I was and sold the story to TMZ. So not only did I have to go through that, I had to live it publicly yet again. Then the National Enquirer came out and said that I was killing myself over, Michael Phelps' ex was killing herself over a sex swap I mean, it was just, my life was a bunch of lies and misnomers forcing me down a tunnel. And in 2016, I read a book called Fast Girl by Susie Favor Hamilton, a former Olympian runner who has bipolar disorder, but they misdiagnosed it. She was manic for an entire year. She was living a double life as a high-class call girl in Las Vegas. And she was there to do a high heel run to promote running the Olympics with Nike. And this news organization that had gotten wind confronted her, exposed her, and her whole life came crashing down. Reading her book, I saw myself and got help. And for me, therapy wasn't enough. I needed medication to make me chemically well. And so I take medicine for borderline. I take medicine for my depression, which is the haunting of my past. I take medicine for anxiety, which is my fear that the past will repeat. And it bothers me that I take a pill to get up, a pill to get through the day, a pill to go to sleep. But the alternative is I feel everything to extremes, not even based in reality half the time. I can't go there again. And, you know, luckily now I have a great support system. I have great friends. I have a husband that would walk through glass and fire for me. And this may sound odd, but he's the first man ever in my life that loves me more. And that was intentional. I needed someone. I love him, but he loves me more. I was tired of being the person that loved the man more and put up with all that stuff so that I could live broke, busted, and disgusted.
Come on now.
So mental health is a constant journey and education. And just when you think you got it fixed, the medicine don't work. And then you got to try new and you hope for the best. But there's no shame in needing help.
Absolutely.
We need to talk about the stigma attached to mental illness because it's killing us. We honored 46 people that were murdered this year, but what is the number of our siblings that overdosed or overdosed on purpose or died and their family dead named them and buried them as a lie that we don't know their names? That number is through the roof. That's who I honor. I'm tired of memorializing dead Black trans women. I would rather make Transgender Day of Visibility the day we celebrate 365 days a year.
Come on.
Sorry for being long-winded.
No, listen. Informative. This is awesome. And thank you for sharing that. I'm sorry. Thank you for sharing that information, sister.
No need to apologize, y'all. And I feel grateful that you all feel as open to kind of share that, because I think that it's one, I feel like it could be healing for you to share and be able to, but also important for folks to know that these are the things that folks go through, and that you may see certain things in public, but like for people to hear it directly from the people who are experiencing it, I think is just as critical, especially in this moment and in this time. And as I think, especially for the both of y'all, continue to put y'all's life on the line to be the advocates, the leaders, the spokespeople that you are. There's a lot that comes with that, for better or for worse, right? And I don't think people always understand. So please don't apologize. I think it's critical and important for people to hear these stories and experiences, to understand what folks have to go through, even when they are trying to do right by community. So I want to just move us, because I think that I think if people are watching, listening, they're probably like, okay, well, what could I do to support? What are there specific campaigns? Are there specific projects that y'all as individuals, that Flux is working on, that you want to plug right now, or things that you think would be good for folks to know and if they want to continue to support and be in solidarity and in community with y'all moving forward.
It's the Racine Pendarvis moment of the shameless plug. Go first.
Well, yes, you can always support. You can always get involved. There are so many different ways to be a part of. One, you can definitely go to flexidentity.org and definitely be in support and sign up there, and definitely join our team. And also Impulse Group DC. There's a multitude of different ways and different ways of showing up. Definitely, financial stability, as I may mention. We need funding to be able to give these extravagant parties, to be able to create these spaces where we can, unite and remember and honor and introduce ourselves to our other siblings and just other people that are willing to do the work. You can definitely, there's all different types of ways, individually and collectively. Please feel free to reach out. Please feel free to ask those questions, and how can you support and how can you be a part of? Definitely inbox.
And personally?
Oh, and personally, you can definitely support. So I have so many things coming up right now. One, I am dropping the photos from a photo shoot that I did with my friend and stylist and photographer, Well Dressed with Will, and Corey Fletcher, CD Fletch, and they're both on Instagram. Mr. Will dressed me for both of the events this past weekend. Shout out once again to Well Dressed with Will on Instagram. And also, I have a couple of production things coming out at the first of the year that I think that are going to be phenomenal, that everyone will love, and it's going to be amazing. I have a couple of speaking events coming up and hosting events as well, and I'll be dropping all of that information on my personal page. So if you are not following me, go to Monroe Alise P on Instagram and Monroe Alise on Facebook. Hey, sugar.
And your Cash App?
Monroe Alise. PayPal, monroe.poston@gmail.com. Venmo's available too. Listen, we do the work.
For me, it's like I support community all the time. And so I encourage people to get involved. Not everybody, especially now during COVID, has money, but you can volunteer with Capital Pride. This next year, Capital Pride is going to be in person again. It's going to be amazing. Donate to the organizations that do the work. Us Helping Us, Heart to Hand. They do the work. May is all about trans. For me, I just opened my new company, which is a leap of faith. And so all of the stuff you see me do in community, through other organizations that don't know how to harness or give me the liberation to use my special powers, I can now do freely. And so tell people about TLC. I keep wanting to say TLC Interpreting because that was my former company. But, TLC Consulting and Solutions. I wish now I'd not put the and in and it just was TLC Consulting Solutions. But live and learn. But I do everything from diversity inclusion training. I'm an expert in HR. I'm board certified as a transgender care therapist. I worked in corporate business for 15 years. So there's not one aspect of a company, whether it's big or small, that I can't help you take it to another level. I'm really passionate about family-owned businesses, but I'd be perfect for working with organizations that do this work, because I network like a dynamo. I remember what people do, and I pride myself on the gift of being able to connect them to the people that they can do the work with. And that reminds me, I'm also an ambassador with the Equality Chamber of Commerce of DC. And I am now a board member of Capital Pride. And we have a foundation where we give back to community. We're an event-driven org, but we give back to community. And so volunteer, donate money, and show up. Be an ally, be a sister, be a brother, be a sibling. Do something. We're about action at local, state, and federal level. Don't sit back and do nothing, because people are dying and they'll continue to die. And all lives can't matter until Black lives matter. And tell that to your neighbor, tell that to your preacher, tell that to the person sitting next to you. It doesn't matter what color you are, people need to hear it. And my Cash App is Taylor Chandler. But on social media, I am Real Taycha TLC. If you can't remember that, Google me. Every other story has an inkling of truth in it. But the article that came out 2 days ago, which was put out by my own agency, that is my words, my truth. And thank you to Miss Olivia Rodriguez Nunez for putting her stamp of approval on it and putting out that press release. And thank you to all the organizations that didn't know what you were getting yourself into by re-reporting it and posting it. Thank you. God love you.
Well, y'all, again, if you are not following Taylor and Monroe, please do so ASAP. I could say that I feel the love, the care, the community, not only in this Instagram Live, but in the work that they do every day. So support Can We Live LLC, support TLC Consulting and Solutions, support Flux DC, support Capital Pride, support all the things that they said that to support. They said it themselves the best, but I'm here to say I'm going to do the same. I'm so grateful that you all took some time out of y'all busy schedules to be a part of this conscious conversation. So much love to you all. Here's to continued joy, continued community, and I hope to see you all in person real soon. Thank you all so much, and hope you have a great rest of your day.
Bye.
Bye, everybody. TLC.